Hello and welcome to another episode of Bobcast, number 3. For this one, I'm going to be talking to our Martell player Razor and our Baratheon player Rangi. As usual, just about their claims and what they have planned for their regions, as well as their own characters, of course. I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and feel free to leave any feedback either in the comments or in the Discord. And if you're interested in eventually being a guest, hit me up as well. Hello, and I'm here with Razor, our resident Martell player. Razor, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Are you excited for Game Start?
Very excited, yeah. I think it's looking very, very exciting. Lots of stuff. Well, lots of people doing very interesting things. So
yeah, I kind of forgot how chaotic pregame is.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty. I don't know. Maybe it's just recency bias, but I feel like this is pretty energetic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know.
More or less energetic, but
yeah, I do feel like that as well too. I mean, I was around for the last couple of game starts, and this one does feel like there's I feel like also like a lot of new players coming in as well too.
Yeah, that's good to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's slowed down. I think when we started 7K, I remember there being a whole bunch of new people that joined because they had big advertisement things and stuff like that. But it's slowed down a little bit, but it's still good to see new people. Very good.
No, I personally hate new people coming in. No,
yeah,
I'm joking.
Of course.
So just to begin, would you maybe just want to talk a little bit about yourself, what like claims you've done in the past, just for people who don't know you as well, and any other facts maybe about you that you want to throw in?
Sure. So I've been playing these games, I think, for 7 years now. I started in ITP as House Hollard of the Shield Islands because I didn't realize that Hollard was a canon house. So I made it as a custom house, and then I was told afterwards.
Okay.
So that was fun. Yeah, it turned out really well, though. I really enjoyed my time as Hollard, and then went into 7K, sort of jumped around a bit. I started as Wayenwood. I played Wild Wayenwood, which is a tongue twister, but he was a fun character. But eventually, probably the biggest claim I had on 7K was Dondarrion.
A very good claim, as always.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I played Gina Dondarrion, who was Queen of the Seven Kingdoms for a while. That was a lot of fun. Then Century of Blood came along. I played a few houses there. I played Dustin. I played very briefly Hor. Which was I wrote like one lore post with Black Aaron, which was interesting. But then I went on to play Sunderland for a while, which I really liked. That's I feel like it's a fairly underrated claim sometimes. It's super interesting lore-wise, so it's really good to see that it's still being picked up.
Yeah, still people
and then
interested.
Yeah. So then I went on to ADT and played House Root for more or less the majority of the game. So that's my history. Other than that, yeah, just been around. I've modded all the games, just not for very long. I don't feel like it's it's not an interesting job to do, but
Someone's got to do it.
So, yeah, someone's got to do it. So yeah, but that's me in these games. So
And
yeah,
now you're Martell.
Yeah.
And you must be, I mean, obviously fairly excited. And what were the things that kind of drew you to Martell the most when you were apping for it?
I think for me, like going into this game, I really wanted to do something different. Sort of towards the end of Root in ADT, I tried to like do some different stuff. Like for instance, House Root was ruled by a lady Alisane, but she had married a Stark, and so I thought it would be very fun to try and sort of inject more of that sort of Stark, old gods, northern sort of aspect to it, just to spice up the claim a little bit, and sort of leading on to this game, I wanted to do something sort of different from the sort of standard quote-unquote kingdoms or regions. And so I was looking at the Iron Islands and Dawn. And actually both Greyjoy and Martell were pretty interesting. I think they both have really interesting setups early game. But I think Martell spoke to me more because it's a claim that it's a region I haven't really done. I've done Fowler as the Stony Dornish, but I haven't really done any Rhoynar stuff. I remember seeing a lot of Cynical, who played Martell in ADT, a lot of his writing, which I thought was great. And so I found that a lot of the time I'll see someone do a lot of stuff with a claim in a previous game, and then I want to claim it later. So like Root or Haraway in Century of Blood was played by Skull, which is part of the reason I proclaimed Root. In ITP, I remember Paux played Dondarrion, which is why I played Dondarrion in 7K. So sort of a reoccurring thing, but yeah, I think it was very unique, and I think the canon characters were also pretty interesting. I didn't want to play any of the big ones that were like adults or teenagers, like Tywin and Aerys and
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people.
The heavy hitters.
But yeah, but like having Doran and Oberyn and Elia be fairly young is a lot of fun. I think Oberyn and Elia are very young, so it's mostly their childhood that I'll play for the next year or so. But Doran is 12, so he's already sort of into things. He's already sort of aware of how the world works. He's just become the heir to Dawn as of game start. So he'll be very fun to play. And then, yeah, a lot of the lore around Dawn I think was very interesting to me. And then the specific setup for Martell.
And so would you say then, just if I had to take a guess based off what you just said, do you think Doran is the one, because of his age, is the one that you're the most excited to play maybe? Or is there someone else in the house?
I think of the canon characters, yes. I think he was comfortably the most. I think I actually had not too much for Lewin Martell initially, but thankfully he's been picked up by Punch, who's very excited and interested to play him. So
not a bad co-claimant at all, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. So I don't think I've co-claimed since ITP. I think I co-claimed with Lyra back when she started, and that was it. Like I've just not done it since. And it's still just one character, but it's really fun. I think we get to play the sibling dynamic more. And he gets to take advantage of Lewin, who is like a full canon character that I didn't have too many ideas for. I'd already played a King's Guide in ATD. I didn't really want to redo it. So that's pretty cool. But I think in terms of characters that I'm interested in playing, the siblings, so Lewin has 3 older siblings. He has the Princess of Dawn now, Lorenza. He has Quarren, who I've nicknamed the Bloodied Prince, and Quinton Martell. So those are sort of 3 very interesting characters that are going to play a big part in a lot of the sort of first year or so of the game, I think.
Yeah, your first generation is sort of carry it through to the next, yeah. Well, that's
so I think they're very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Dorne as a whole is just a very interesting region if you can handle it right, and I think you're feeling capable to do it. And so with that, do you kind of have like a vibe or sort of maybe like a storyline without maybe going into details, but that you sort of want to push for the region? Or are you going to kind of just, see how things go and yeah?
Yeah, I think there's sort of 2 parts to it. On one hand, one of my big focuses on my app and sort of ever since with like the lore doc I made and all this other stuff is I want to really facilitate as many people's kind of role play as they want to do, if that makes sense. So like if someone wants to do politics, I want to give them that option. If someone wants to do like faith stuff, I'm really happy that Wiccan has taken on a lot of the ideas that I spoke to Centrist about. So Centrist had a lot of ideas because he also apped Martell. We were talking a lot. He had a bunch of ideas for religion that sort of flowed onto Wiccan's faith. But like that stuff, just sort of anything that they want to do, I want to be able to facilitate it. I think that's an important thing for an LP. But in terms of like specifically the house, I remember rereading the Dawn chapters in the books, and something that came up that was really interesting to me was Ariane in the books obviously is very worried that Doran is like putting her aside for Quinton. And initially he was, because obviously Ariane was meant to marry Viserys, but that fell through. But it was very interesting that despite the fact that she is the most prominent female heir in Dawn, she's worried that her father wanted a son the whole time. So despite Dawn's acceptance of women as heirs, there's still a case of like, it's accepted, but there are people who maybe don't want that. They still want their sons to inherit. And that sort of grey area mixed with the fact that like, I think it's Oberyn who, when he's talking about like Marcella being the next in line to the Iron Throne, says, in Dawn we don't let, a cock decide who rules the kingdom or who rules the seat. To me, it was really interesting because obviously in the modern era we don't believe in like hierarchies and thrones and things like that. But it was really interesting because the logical next step would be like, okay, well, if a cock doesn't decide who rules the Iron Throne, does a few minutes. So Lorenza's younger brother is her twin by however many minutes, and that's the Bloody Prince Quarren. And the difference is that Lorenza is in King's Landing. She very much enjoys King's Landing. She's waiting to Rhaella. She enjoys politics and diplomacy and that kind of stuff, which has its advantages. But Quarren has been raised by his father, Morgan Martell, who was a very stoic, cold, isolationist kind of ruler,
Hmm.
and he's been in Dawn the whole time. So while he's very like, so he's called the Bloody Prince because he's this like show off. He likes to tie his hands behind his back and have someone swing a sword at him. Like he's a massive
Yeah.
danger seeker, right? And he's got a bunch of scars from it. But like he has been in Dawn. He's been around the whole time. People know who he is.
Yeah, he's
So
he's
it's
a
this
face they
interesting
know.
yeah, exactly. So it's this interesting idea of if a cock doesn't decide, it does a few minutes, and then another thread to that is Quentin Martell, who's left Dawn, but he's arguably this is going to be kind of hard to play because it requires me to be smart, but he's meant to be the smartest of his siblings. He's very competent. He understands how to live by himself. Like he's left Dawn and he's totally fine. He's going to be doing some sort of underhanded stuff with some orgs and some claims and stuff that I've set up. So that will be a lot of fun. But he's younger, but he's also in many ways the smartest of his siblings. So like I'm really hoping, maybe not an outright succession crisis, but some. I'm certainly going to push it that there's some gray area in like, is Lorenza the best choice? Is she really the best choice? Is Quarren the best choice? Because he's also got his flaws. Is Quentin, the guy who just left, is he the best choice, right? Maybe we can get to Lewin, who knows? But that's sort of what I've really wanted to set up, and I wanted to set up options for people to pull at and push sort of Martell in a way that would sort of dynamically result in Dawn ending up in something different. And also sort of a small addition is that in the books, Doran and Oberyn are like this tag team who like do like plot and all this stuff together because they're trying to avenge Elia.
Yeah.
In this game, I'll be very surprised if Elia ends up married to Rhaegar and then has her head smashed in.
Yeah.
That seems unlikely. So what I also am kind of hoping is that if Lorenza ends up in contention with one of her brothers, that when Doran and Oberyn grow up, they have someone to go after. They have someone to like work together to try and.
So you can still get that aspect of their relationship.
Yeah. So I still want to get that aspect. So that's long term, but that's sort of my idea of the region. But then again, I just want to see what people are interested in doing and just following it really.
Yeah, I mean, you got to plan that stuff out still as well, right? Not hard line, but
Yeah.
at least an idea. And I think that's really, I will say that's actually a very interesting setup for the house because it's not like an outright succession crisis, but there's room, there's wiggle room for things to move around outside of what happens in canon, right?
Yeah, it's a big reason that I had Morgan Martell die. He's dead, like, I'm going to say 3 days before game start, like really, really recently.
Okay, really fresh then.
only long enough that the letter from Sunspear has managed to just get to King's Landing. That is the time that has passed.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty fresh. All of the advisors in Sunspear are Morgan's advisors. They're not Lorenza's. They're not Quarren. So they're also older.
Old guard,
they have more. Yeah, they're old guard. So there's I've just sort of tried to create it in a very interesting way that there isn't a good option. There isn't just like because Lorenzo has heirs, for instance, whereas Quarren has a male lover. So he doesn't have any heirs. So there's this like, well, we can pick Quarren, but then Lorenzo's still the heir anyway. Does that work? So yeah, basically just try to put as much doubt basically into the house and see where that goes, especially with the Band of Nine like on the doorstep. I think that will be really interesting to see how those two things collide. That's sort of, especially early game, that's what I want to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, the game is going to be launching, I think, with the coronation as the opening event, right? So there's that, and then all of a sudden there's the Band of Nine, like literally, a short boat ride across from you guys. Yeah. I'm sure it's going to get interesting really fast.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be very interesting. And I think also, yeah, there's just so much, like Quarren might end up, he might go and fight the Band of Nine and end up as this big militaristic leader, or he might die. Yeah. And whichever happens creates a whole new thing. If Quentin comes back, do we go to Quentin instead of Lorenza? Do we stick with Lorenza? Do we, whatever? And I'm also really happy that Tem has got Ironwood, because if we had a newer player as Ironwood, I probably would have taken the effort to try and pull them into stuff to make sure that they were still interested in, involved in Dawn. But I think Tem is, I think he's done some really great stuff in these games, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with Ironwood sort of on his own. Because Morgan had a big sort of grudge against the Ironwoods for siding with the Blackfires. So it didn't really make much sense for them to have too many connections. So that's a little bit like, I was like, if
isolated from each other.
Someone newer gets it. Yeah. So, but I'm really glad that Tem's got it. And obviously whoever is the heir is going to have to court Ironwood as well, because they're the biggest claim. So
Yeah, you
So
can't
yeah,
just ignore them.
yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of stuff, and then there's just trying to set it up in a way that means that people who want to do one thing can do that, and then people who want to do sort of another thing, like Gargolin, for instance, they have Doran, so they can play a longer game. They don't really care who ends up as there right now. They just want Doran in after, maybe, for instance.
Well, damn, you've really set this up. I have to say, I'm quite impressed. I hadn't. I'd be lying if I said I knew everything that was going on in every region, which is why I do these.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah,
You
no,
know.
I think these are really good because I'm hearing like what other people say. I'm really like, for instance, I remember hearing Sketchy talk about Quellon, who, like, as I said earlier, I was looking at Greyjoy, and I think Quellon is so interesting because of that dichotomy of this. He's new way, but he also reaved, and he's also this huge guy, and
He's a hypocrite. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a hypocrite, really, and it's fascinating. It also probably explains why his sons are the way they are.
I mean, I really think like I said, I think you've really set this up in a really interesting way, and I'm, not necessarily jealous. I'm happy with my situation, but you've really set it up well for your
A very
your
interesting
players.
situation.
And is there anyone else maybe in your region that you're pretty excited to write with? I know you have Techno and Scene Night.
Yeah,
and people.
I've actually roleplayed fairly extensively with most of them, like Tem, Techno, CK. I've roleplayed with a lot. We have a new player as Alarion, which is really cool. I think they played in ITP briefly. I'm not too sure, but they seem really excited. And then DG is Gargling is pretty fun. I've had sort of brief interactions, but I haven't had a full like. I think they were lady in waiting to Gina at one point. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm really happy, and we've got some great dynamics as well that have popped up. We've got a Vaith. We have a Manderwoody from way back in ITP. So Johnny claimed Manderwoody. Yeah, that's the only house I've known him to claim. So it's really great to see him back. And we have a really interesting dynamic by Bloodspilled, the guy who played, I think, Piper in ATD.
Yeah.
He's bringing back a First Man house from Dawn that was extinct. But he's got some interesting stuff with it. It's not as, from what I understand, it's not as sort of as clean as it seems on the surface. Like, it's not just that these people have come back and they want their land back. There's more. There's a gray area there. It's not entirely like, yeah, there's a totally legitimate people. So it'd be very interesting to see how that goes as well.
Damn. Okay. Well, yeah. Damn. You really covered all the bases. I have to say, I'm quite impressed. And so, as we sort of start shifting ahead to the end of this, quick then, do you have any predictions for first canon death?
I think a likely one, especially with like the Band of Nine and his very likely involvement, is Gerald Hightower, the White Bull.
That's my pick too.
Yeah, because Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, he's going to be bodyguarding them, but there's people who are also going to want to duel him. I think that he's probably got a big chance, but I love the nickname. I love the that's just such a cool name. Yeah. Even with the Sword of the Morning and Barrows in the Vault, I think the White Bull is such an awesome nickname.
And I think it's such a shame.
Does a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I think it's such a shame though as well too, because I will say, if I have one critique for these games, is that I don't think we do nicknames very well. They never come up organically.
So like I remember I've tried to like just, especially with Root and Martell now, I've tried to just sort of shove in as many nicknames into my characters as possible and see what sticks. So like last game I had the Red Stallion, I had the Black Hand for a dude who had burned his hand and wore a black glove. This game, obviously, I have the Bloodied Prince. I have the Drifting Sun. So the Drifting Sun is Quinton, because his dad would say that Quinton was the sun that drifts from the sky. Sun playing on SUN and SON. And then I also have the Eyeless, who's just a blind. He was Morgan's brother, and he's blind, and his eyes are clouded. But I'm really hoping to try and push and try and give some people nicknames and see if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'd really love to see it. I think it's one of the coolest parts of A Song of Ice and Fire and sort of fantasy writing in general.
And it's one of those things where like you can't give yourself the nickname, because or else nobody wants to call you it. Like it has to come from someone else.
That's true, but I think at some point you've just got to push it through.
Jump, yeah.
I'm a big believer in, and if the nicknames I give my own characters don't stick, then they don't. But if they do, then all the better for it, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I'm at least glad I had in 7K I had my Lord Lionel as Iron Leg because he had lost his leg at the start when I first started playing him, and then now I have Bad Apple, so I got
Bad Apple. That's a good one.
So yeah,
the Band of Nine have some great names. They've got
I know.
fantastic names. Nine Eyes, the Old Mother, fantastic.
That's why I really hope for my own position that Derek can survive and maybe get another kill or two.
Cool, yeah.
Because I want to get his kill count up higher, and then I want him to survive and come back later. So
yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
We will see. But thank you so much, Razor. This was a great interview, and I really look forward to seeing what you end up writing. Before we finish up, do you just have anything you want to say, maybe to anyone listening, or just to your claimants in general? So the floor is yours.
Sure, not too much. I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've all the claimants that I've got, and all the sort of big major claimants, and even actually probably in addition is the Red Mountains claimants. I've got a soft spot for them because I've played all the Stormlands Marches. I played Fowler. We've got a thread with all the lore from the Red Mountains. I think all of them are awesome, and also that sort of includes ourselves a little bit in the sort of peak Dun Varna sort of conflict there, which is super interesting. So there's some awesome stuff around the Red Mountains. So big shout out to them. I think that there's some cool claimants there. So I really hope that there's some cool stuff. And also Sunspear is a bit of a chaotic place, so they're not really going to care much about raids, I think. So that will be fun for them, I hope.
Yeah, I'm hoping the raids are that's what the Reach has also been pushing. We've been like, it's okay if you raid each other, just don't, like, if you overdo it, then it becomes a problem.
No, exactly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Razor. Like I said, thank you for taking the time for this. And like I said, I look forward to seeing how things turn out for the Martells.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I am here with Rangi, our resident Baratheon. Rangi, how are you doing today, dude?
I'm doing all right, Bob. How are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. So, you excited for game start?
Yes, sir. It's been a long process getting the game set up, but I feel confident that we're getting ready to go soon, and I'm very hyped to see what the players are going to get up to.
Dev, mod, and LP, don't get burnt out, please.
Burnout's only a state of mind. I got this.
So I just wanted to start by sort of, for people who don't perhaps know you as well, maybe just you going over your history with these games so that people kind of know, and then maybe any facts about you that you might want to throw in.
Yeah, sure, I got you. So I'm relatively new to the community, only starting in COB, so it's been, a few years? Give or take?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 or so years. Got my feet in the ground there, and then moved on to ATD, where I played House Vance and a couple others. Got my fill in with the game as a Riverlander, and I decided, hey, I want to throw in for the big ring, and threw my hat in as Baratheon. I had experience modding in ATD, modded for a bit in COB, and threw my hat into mod and dev for 9 Penny Kings. So I enjoy the workload, and I feel like it's going to be a great time.
And how was the dev process? Tell me how you feel about it after your first time being a dev.
For my first time being a dev, it was a very tumultuous process, but I feel like it was a very rewarding one as well to see the end status of this game go out.
Mm-hmm. See, people's reactions and you having it all put together.
Yes, sir.
And so what part, just for people, like I said, who perhaps don't know as well, what part of dev did you tend to sort of focus on?
I focused most of my time on land combat and associated with that.
Nice, okay. And then with Baratheon, what is it that sort of drew you to apping Baratheon? And did you have any backups in mind that you were maybe going to go for if you didn't get it?
Well, Bob, to be frank, right now we're in the era of House Baratheon, where we have my 3 favorite Baratheons back to back to back, from Lionel the Laughing Storm to Stefan Baratheon, who dies in the worst way possible, unfortunately.
But not in this game, hopefully.
So, not in this game. That's RNG. Do not let him die that way. I just feel like this is the era of House Baratheon that has the most fleshed out, besides the dance in Robert's Rebellion, and is a very interesting one due to the Laughing Storm's Rebellion to Hand of the King, and then cousins to Aerys Targaryen, which is going to be a very fun relationship to write out.
Mm-hmm.
As for backups, I was very much planning on having House Prester as my backup to go be in the Westerlands with Norlium, my first time in the West in these types of games.
Nice.
Or I had already talked about it with our Stark player Ethan. I was going to SEC Roderick, the Wandering Wolf Stark.
Oh, and like journey down south maybe, and
Yes, sir.
stir up some trouble.
The 50-year-old Stark was going to go fight in the Stepstones, and if he died there, he would have been a very happy man.
And you would have moved on to another claim, I guess.
Oh, yes, I would have. I would have found something else that was cool to do, but I feel like Roderick was a solid backup.
Yeah, of course. And so, do you plan on sort of having, Robert and Stannis and Renly be born, or are you gonna just let it up to the RNG gods and see what turns out?
I'm going to leave it up to RNG, but if the traits line up and and I have a firstborn son instead of Stefan just having like 3 daughters in a row, man, yeah, sure, maybe Robert will come around. I'd be partial to make Stannis the firstborn, considering I feel like he was the better fit for Lord Baratheon.
I mean, why not, right? This is what these games are for.
Yeah, exactly. There's no need to stick strictly to canon.
Mm-hmm. Unless somebody yells at you for it, but then in that case, it's not their house anymore.
Oh, they can yell.
Sorry if I get distracted. I have a cat sitting on my lap right now.
Hey, that's a good distraction right there.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. And then so without like divulging any details, unless you want to, of course, what are your plans as a first time LP for your region as a whole? Is there any like storylines you kind of want to go for, or are you more going to go for like a sort of vibe that you want the whole region to kind of have?
Well, this ties back into my love for the House Baratheon in this period. I'm going to try to get the Stormlands involved in the courtly politics, seeing as they are oftentimes removed from it, which is honestly fine, considering they're usually busy with the Dornish.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I feel like the storylines I want to pursue are, first and foremost, going to the Stepstones and fixing that problem.
Okay, yeah. Fixing the Melees problem.
Yeah, since we don't know what they did in canon, I've had House Baratheon be very anti-House Blackfire.
Yeah, which is, I mean, is fair. I don't know if you would want to be pro Blackfire anyways right now. Might get a little,
hey,
might get a
there's
little
some
beat
crazy
up.
Baratheons out there.
Is Lionel still around, actually? I'm not familiar with the
no.
almanac.
Lionel died about 16 years ago.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Oh, trust me. It would have been a great time if he was around still.
What would you have made him do if he was still around? Old man Lionel.
Oh my god, old man Lionel. He would have been a fun one. He would have just probably not allowed for the Stormlanders to get involved with the court of Jaehaerys after what Duncan the Small pulled.
Yeah.
He probably would have reached out to Tyrell and Tully and just been like, hey yo, Crown screwed you, Crown screwed me, we chillin'.
Yeah, we're gonna stand back as much as we can.
Exactly. The man was the only Storm King of House Baratheon. He was going to take no shit from anyone.
And then, so your plan, like you said, for the Baratheons is to get involved with courtly politics, but then for the region, like, what is it that you're sort of trying to push? Like, are you trying to, stir up some stuff with the Dornish, or do you want everyone to sort of intermingle with themselves, or...
I wrote this in my application. Well, I'm going to go ahead and encourage any plot lines in the Stormlands, including conflicts either amongst each other or the Dornish, which honestly, A-okay with me at this point. Otherwise, I'm going to just develop plot lines organically and nurture them as best I can, so people in the Stormlands are active and involved. I've gone ahead and set up a council of the Stormlands to get people into Storm's End to facilitate that kind of RP there too.
Yeah. And so you're gonna try and have you got some players set up for that already, or are you is that something you're still working out?
I have a few players who I'm talking to. I got people who are and going back a little bit, just some of the storylines we're working out. I have a circle of Stormlanders who are going to be the friends to Stefan Baratheon, since he's a young man. He's the heir to the Lord of Storm's End. He needs to get to know his bannermen, and I thought no better way than to make a small circle of friends like it was with Aerys, Tywin, and Stefan, but with the Stormlanders.
I see. Okay, so the lads, but Stormlands edition.
Oh, no, 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 no. The lads is a very special title. That's just Eris, Tywin, and Stefan.
Ingen brought up the lads in his sessions, so that's why it's fresh on my mind.
Yeah, me, Ingen, and Norliam all agreed, like, hey, Tywin, Stefan, Eris, these three are the new gen lads.
The boys.
And it makes sense with their canon personalities. They are the boys.
And I mean, hopefully they make it out of Ninepenny and they can develop their friendship, because I've always been interested in seeing how Stefan would have been with Ares and Tywin had he not died.
Oh, me too. I feel like it was just ripped from us to give Robert his ability to do things, but it would have been great to see Stefan last a few more years.
Yeah, not even that long too, just like a little bit longer. Let him see a little bit of the crazy.
Oh, I feel like he's seen the crazy as it developed. He just didn't see it get to the peak.
That's true. That is true. I mean, he was too busy dying in a storm. So
You're not
missed
wrong.
it a bit.
He was also kind of busy looking for a wife for Rhaegar.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that that's what he'd gone to across the narrow sea for.
Yeah, and then when he died, Tywin was actually blamed for it.
If he had any daughters, maybe he wouldn't have died.
You're not wrong.
That's on him, honestly. So
Hey, now, the seed was just too strong.
the Robert seed was too strong.
Robert got it from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was kind of wondering more, just to sort of like pivot. Do you have any like predictions maybe for things that might happen in the game that don't happen in canon? That it's obviously a little hard to tell, but if it does happen, then it's at least cool to look back on.
Things that I predict are going to happen that won't happen in canon.
I know I'm throwing you a bit of a curveball here.
No, it's a good question, and one actually I didn't expect. No, one of the few things I expect that will happen that doesn't happen in canon is going to be the way people died in the Stepstones. I fully expect some of the Kingsguard to actually die there instead of like Ormond Baratheon, for example. He's probably going to die there too. That's honestly going to be a good plotline if he does still, because that's a good canonical death.
Yeah.
But someone like Gwaine Gaunt or Harlan Grandison dying there would also be really interesting, considering they have to die for young Prince Aerys.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're not around for later on. More spots open too, because there's so many spots available right now anyways. So
there's a grand total of 2 spots remaining right now.
Really? I thought it was like 4. Or did they already get given away?
Went and Gary are on the Kingsguard.
Oh, I see. That's too many Riverlanders.
Hey now, it's only 2.
2's too many.
Yeah, you're right. Not enough Stormlanders.
As a long-time Riverlander, and now I have to be not Team Riverlands. So
hey, that's the Derek Foss way in you speaking.
Maybe I'll be I'll be the person to kill some of them. I don't know. I'm gonna try and duel. My goal is to get Derek to duel as many people as he can, and then hopefully survive, and then he can, I don't know, stir up trouble in the in Westeros.
See, on the note of Derek, I'm also very happy to see that the Band of Nine almost got full applicants bar Spotted Tom.
I mean, it's Spotted Tom. His name is Spotted Tom. I can't say I blame people for not going for him.
I mean, you're not wrong, but then we had the old mother.
Yeah, but I mean, she's at least got some draw to her a little bit. I don't know. Spotted Tom's just
Spotted Tom's just a psycho.
Yeah, he's just a weird guy from King's Landing, so I don't know. I do. Part of me wishes that Maelys was available. I would have apped him if he was available for players to play.
I was on the fence about Maelys, but there was a lot of good arguments for not having him, so I was like, okay, you know what? That's fine.
I
get
solid. I do get it. But I was like, man, I really want to play this crazy guy with 2 heads.
Trust me, I would have loved to have seen the player interpretation of Maelys, but the decision was made, and I was fine with how it was.
Yeah. And so, speaking of the Stepstones, I gotta ask, who's your prediction for first canon death?
Okay, I thought about this one. I actually have 2 predictions here, because I can't decide which one it's going to be.
Okay.
I am very much thinking it's going to be either Brendan the Blackfish Tully.
That's a popular pick, actually. I've gotten that from...
Wow, okay. Or Gerald Hightower.
I think Gerald might be one of them. I think that's a good
Yeah, the
prediction.
Lord Commander of the Kingsguard being thrown straight into the midst of a war.
Yeah, I don't know the amount of Kingsguard we lost at the end of ATD as well. I mean,
We lost 2 at that point, didn't we?
3 technically, because there was who was I'm blanking on names already. I've never been a name person.
You lost Root.
But there was someone who got like they were about to be made on the Kingsguard. It wasn't Pate. Pate was going to be put on the Kingsguard, and then he died.
Oh yeah, Pate Rivers.
Yeah, and before he could become a Kingsguard, he died. I kind of can't.
Yeah, that guy was also the squire to my Lord Vance in the day.
Oh, okay. So you were you sad then when he perished?
I think he went out in a good manner.
Yeah, I mean it was a good time for it as well too.
I mean, it harkened back to the death of Benjicott Blackwood. Both of them died in a siege of a castle in the Riverlands.
God, Ben dying is still so wild to me, but it is what it is.
No, Sabbatha dying is wild.
I mean, the thing with Ben though is that he was. Wait, is it the same? No, never mind.
He was a young man, yes.
Yeah, no, but I was about to say something about 7K, and I was like, oh no, yeah, I guess it was because Ben was still alive at the start of 7K, which is kind of wild because in 7K he lived to like his 80s, and then in this he died before he was 20.
Yeah, I think Gerald Hightower is gonna die fighting one of the 9 Penny Kings, but probably take them out with him.
Damn. To be determined.
I mean, it'll be a good duel. I fully expect a fair few lords to die, my own Lord Baratheon included. I honestly hope he does die in the Stepstones.
Yeah, I'm like I said. I mean, I have Derek there, but I am hoping he doesn't die. But I'm not gonna play him safe either.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm not gonna play Ormond safe. Canonically, he did not go in there safe.
Yeah,
but
you want him going in guns blazing.
Yeah, it's this whole Baratheon thing. He's the son of the Laughingstone. He has something to live up to there.
He's got that pressure. He's gotta go out in a blaze of glory, or come
Agreed,
back.
Yeah. And if he dies, oh well. He had a good story that I got to write during the start of the game. If he doesn't, great. I have more time to write him and expand on him.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of this.
I'm
It's
not
all
mad
up to
if
the
he dies.
rolls.
I hope he gets into conflict. Not that he hopes. No, let me rephrase it. I don't hope that he dies. I hope he gets into good conflict.
Of course, with a good death.
Oh, if he gets a good death, that's all that matters in this.
Well, Rangi, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. Is there anything that you sort of want to tell any players, maybe in your region or just in general, before we end?
Let's see here. From our region, Storm Gang, rise up, gang gang. As for everyone else, I just hope you all have a genuinely good time in each of your claims, your orgs, your regions as a whole. And if you haven't had one yet, I hope you find a region that draws you to it, and you have a great time throughout the duration of the game.
Hell yeah! Well, thank you, Rangi, like I said, for taking this time, and I'm excited to see how you write Baratheon.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you for taking the time to have me on here.
No problem at all.